Bright morning, everyone. Today, our group is tasked with reporting on regional economic integration of Asia and the regional economic integration of Africa. First and foremost, let's define what is regional economic integration for us to thoroughly understand what we are going to tackle. Regional economic integration is the process in which two or more countries agree to eliminate economic barriers with the end goal of enhancing productivity and achieving greater economic interdependence. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations. ASEAN was organized in 1967. It is a comprehensive association that includes preferential trade as one of its many goals. The preferential trade agreement comprises countries such as Brunei Darussalam, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, the Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, and Vietnam. ASEAN, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, created the Asian Free Trade Area (AFTA) on January 1, 1993. The primary aim was to lower custom duties on trade goods among its member countries. AFTA's long-term objective was to reduce these tariffs to a maximum of 5% by January 1, 2008. This gradual staff reduction was designed to promote regional economic integration, facilitate trade, and boost economic growth across the member countries. Asian countries can phase in tax cuts over a longer period to manage the economic transition and minimize disruptions. By extending the timeline for tax reductions, governments can give industries and businesses more time to adapt to lower tax rates. This flexibility in tax cut implementation accommodates the varying economic conditions and readiness of different Asian member countries, contributing to a more balanced and equitable economic integration within the region. In 2005, a significant achievement within the Asian Free Trade Area was the reduction of tariffs on most traded products to the range of 0 to 5%. This accomplishment aligned with AFTA's goal of lowering trade barriers, promoting economic integration, and facilitating trade among its member countries. The 0 to 5% tariff range meant that the majority of products crossing borders within AFTA faced minimal taxation, making goods more affordable and encouraging increased trade among Asian nations. Free trade is vital for member countries, given that their export to GDP ratio is approximately 70%. This high ratio indicates that a significant portion of their economic activity is dependent on exports. Free trade policies enable these countries to access international markets more easily, increase exports, and drive economic growth. It allows their industries to thrive, create jobs, and contribute to the overall prosperity of the nation. AFTA's key accomplishments include substantial tariff reduction, attracting foreign direct investment, and establishing a vast production network known as Factory Asia. By reducing trade barriers through lower tariffs, AFTA promotes regional economic integration and facilitates trade. This, in turn, attracts FDI. Businesses are drawn to the region's growth potential. Factory Asia signifies the interconnected production facilities and supply chains that have developed, making Asian countries a manufacturing hub. China's influence is crucial for Asia's future. With a large working age population and rising wages in China, there's potential for Asian countries to attract more foreign investment. However, to capitalize on these opportunities, they must improve their infrastructure, particularly in supply chain and manufacturing. These opportunities, coupled with China's competitive position, and driving Asian countries to enhance their intra-regional ties and cooperation, as they recognize the need to strengthen their collective economic and trade capacity. The corporate application of Asian involves adjusting business strategies and operations to respond to changing circumstances within the Southeast Asian market. This could include adapting of new regulations, capitalizing on emerging opportunities, or addressing challenges unique to a specific moment in time. It requires flexibility and agility in navigating the dynamic business landscape of the region. APEC established in 1989. aims to foster multilateral economic cooperation in trade and investment across the Pacific Rim. It consists of 21 countries bordering Asia and the Americas, and it's known for the extensive focus areas including trade, investment, security, energy, sustainability, anti-corruption, and transparency. APEC's sheer size and influence set it apart, representing 55% of global GDP and facilitating 43% of worldwide trade. This makes it a powerful and influential organization of the global stage, contributing significantly to economic cooperation and stability in the Asia-Pacific region. However, APIC itself is not a corporate application. It provides a supportive framework for businesses to navigate the complex landscape of the Asia-Pacific region and take advantage of the economic opportunities it offers.
Good day everyone, my name is Casa Stento and I'm here to discuss about the Trans-Pacific Partnership and Regional Economic Integration in Africa. First, let's talk about the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the TPP. It was initiated by the United States to spur economic growth and create jobs. TPP was a proposed free trade agreement among 12 Pacific Rim economies. The agreement would have lower tariffs and other trade barriers among Australia, Brunei, Canada, Chile, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, New Zealand, Peru, Singapore, United States, and Vietnam. The countries involved produced 40% of the world's total gross domestic product. They supplied 26% of world trade to 793 million of the world's consumers. The formation of the initiative was announced in 2011 and Japan was added as a member in 2013. On March 15, 2013, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe announced that Japan would formally seek to participate in the negotiations to establish the TPP. Interestingly, the TPP does not include all members of APEC, but it provides a more limited scope of negotiations in the Pacific region for the United States in the same way that United States negotiations with Europe provide an Atlantic initiative. A main goal of the TPP is to enhance trade and investment. Of course, to create new opportunities and benefits for our businesses, workers, and consumers. The latest movement is the goal of establishing a free trade area of the Pacific. The negotiations were successfully concluded on October 4, 2015. Each nation's legislator had to approve the agreement before it went into effect, of course, those 12 countries. Before that could happen, on January 23, 2017, President Donald Trump signed an executive order to withdraw the United States from the agreement. As I discussed earlier, TPP was initiated by the United States, but what will happen if US withdraw from the agreement? After Trump withdrew the US from the deal, the remaining 11 countries agreed on a revised TPP, now renamed as CPTPP, means Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. CPTPP is substantially the same as TPP. It covers virtually all sectors and aspects of trade between Canada and member countries to reduce trade barriers and facilitate trade. It's the same like TPP. CPTPP removes 99% of tariffs on goods and services, just like the original TPP did. The 11 other TPP countries have moved forward with a slightly modified agreement and have left the door open for the United States to rejoin. Let's proceed to our next topic, the regional economic integration in Africa. Between 2001 to 2010, 6 of the fastest growing economies in the world were in Africa: the Angola, Nigeria, Ethiopia, Chad, Mozambique, and Rwanda. The African continent is often described as the new frontier for global growth. It is because most of the African countries have experienced high rates of economic growth in the last decade. The continent has also made substantial progress in terms of peace and security, and democratic processes have grown stronger. Africa has about 600 million hectares of arable land and the world's youngest and fastest growing population. These provide an ideal base for sustained long-term growth. Real GDP growth has been strong and FDI has risen significantly. In addition, Africa has the fastest expanding labor force in the world with more than 500 million people of working age 15 to 64 and is expected to surpass China and India in working age population by 2040. Although Africa is well positioned to be the growth pole of the world economy, there is a high risk that extreme poverty will be concentrated in Africa. Of course, they have the highest population, though the high share of youth in Africa's population present many opportunities. Africa will not be able to reap its demographic dividend if it fails to invest in human resources. From the standpoint of regional integration, Africa is complicated. Because of the large number of countries in the continent, they have 54 countries. There are 3 regional monetary unions and 5 existing regional trade associations. The problem is that African countries have been struggling to establish a political identity and that different trade groups have political as well as economic underpinnings. There was corruption, ostentations, acts of favoritism, and jealousy, as well as political instability. Most African nations suffer from military dictatorships, civil unrest and war, underdevelopment, and deep poverty. The key to continued growth in Africa is the reduction of risk and conflicts drops and peace improves. Not only is Africa the world's fastest growing continent, but it is also demographically the youngest.
PAFTA was signed by 17 members of Arab League in 1981 and agreed upon its terms in 1997, aiming to facilitate and develop trade among Arab states. PAFTA members agreed to eliminate all non-tariff barriers, including administrative, monetary, financial, and technical barriers, and reduce tariff annually for 10 years. 10% annual reduction per year from 1998 to 2003, and by 20% in 2004 and 2005, till reaching a free trade zone in 2007. However, the Arab Summit held in 2002 decided to reach zero tariff among Arab states in 2005 instead of 2007 and grant the least developed member states a preferential treatment. The African Union or AU. The African Union or AU is a continental organization consisting of 55 member states in Africa. It was established on July 26, 2001 in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and officially launched on July 9, 2002 in Durban, South Africa. The AU's primary goals include promoting unity and cooperation among African nations, addressing political and social issues, and working toward economic integration and development on the continent. It focuses on peace and security efforts, conflict resolution, and human rights promotion in Africa. In 2018, 53 African Union member states signed an agreement to eliminate trade barriers in Africa. This resulted in the realization of African Continental Free Trade Area in 2001, the largest free trade area in population and geographic size, spanning 1.3 billion people. AFCFTA members agreed to take action to facilitate trades in goods and services, simply customs procedures, and settle trade disputes. Part of the AFCFTA's efforts include the creation of the Pan-Pacific Payment and Settlement Systems. The financial infrastructure launched in January of 2022 allows companies in Africa to transact their local currency when doing business internationally with AFCFTA members. The African Union has the right to intervene military in its member states in circumstances of war crimes, genocide, and crimes against humanity. To this end, the organization has carried out peacekeeping operations on multiple occasions. The AU peacekeeping operations often work in coordination with United Nations missions. African Union efforts helped avert catastrophes and protected people in violence in Burundi, the Central African Republic, Comoros, Darfur, Somalia, South Sudan, Sudan, and Mali. The AU's diplomatic efforts have resulted in success on multiple occasions. For example, in October of 2022, the African Union organized negotiation in South Africa that resulted in peace deal between Ethiopian government and Tigray's People Liberation Front. The African Union has also acted successfully to protect and promote democracy throughout the continent. For example, when violence broke out in Kenya following the 2007 elections, an African Union-led mediation effort contributed to ending the violence and creation of coalition government. Lastly, African Union health initiatives have netted considerable results. For example, the vaccine acquisition task team established in 2002 secured over 1 billion doses of vaccines to be distributed among member states. Initiatives against AIDS and malaria has also resulted in fewer people being infected across the continent. Partners account for approximately 75% of the total budget. This reliance on external partners for funding undermines the AU's decision-making capacity. In 2001, for example, the EU adopted the financial tools that allow it to bypass the AU when funding national and sub-regional military initiatives.
So here's the last topic that I will be discussing, or we will be discussing. It's all about the other forms of international cooperation. So first is, what is international cooperation? So when we say international cooperation, it refers to the collaboration and coordination among nations and entities across borders to achieve common goals, address shared challenges, promote peace, stability, economic development, and tackle global issues like climate change, public health, and human rights. So, international cooperation also involves countries working together through agreements, organization, and various diplomatic efforts to find solutions and foster mutual understanding. So, here are the forms or other forms of international cooperation. So, the first is the United Nations. So, sa makita tadi amo ni siya, pero akon basahon or ipainsinti pagid kung ano ang arada nga form. So, the United Nations is an international organization founded in 1945 to promote global cooperation and peace. It consists of 193 members, take note, 193 members, states, and plays a crucial role in addressing various global challenges such as conflicts, poverty, climate change, and more. So, damo siya nga gina-address ng mga challenges. And then, the UN's or the United Nations K functions include providing a platform for diplomatic dialogue, facilitating negotiations, offering humanitarian assistance, coordinating international development efforts, and upholding human rights. So, member states work together within the UN to develop policies, contribute to peacekeeping missions, and participate in specialized agencies, programs, and funds that focus on specific issues like health, education, and environmental sustainability. So, overall, the UN aims to foster international collaboration to improve the lives of people. So, briefly but precise explanation lang, this cooperation is gintukod ni siya para mag-help sa like may communities or place nga mas daw grabe ang ila poverty. So, gina-help nila, pinaagi say, like may paano sila nga mga programs. And then, like, ang climate change, For example, ang pag ano sa like tree planting, and then gaan ga bulig ni sila or ga teach ni sila about human rights. So amo ni ang ginafokusan sa diri nga cooperation. So the second form or other form of international cooperation is the non-governmental organizations or the NGOs. These are typically driven by a mission to address specific societal, environmental, or humanitarian issues. So, sa diri naman is ka-focus siya sa like health, environment. They operate independently from government influence and often work to fill gaps or advocate. So may mga advocacy sila sa mga communities. NGOs engage in various activities such as providing aid during disasters, promoting education, advocating for human rights, environmental conservation, healthcare, o iban pa. So, sa makita tada is may ara example sang NGOs. Pero mahatag pagid ko. Og one notable example of an NGO is ang Doctors Without Borders. This organization delivers medical assistance for people in crisis, irrespective of where they are and the surroundings political, social, or economic conditions. They often operate in conflict zones, areas affected by natural disasters, and regions with limited healthcare access, providing crucial medical care and humanitarian support those needs. So, sa diri naman ng organization is, ang ilang focusan is more on health, environmental, like, ang mga place nga lagyo sa syudad is ilaging ginakadto, din ilang ginatabangan, like, ang mga communities nga, for example, may ara, calamities, then, layo sila sa mga, sa mga bulig. So, ginakadto gina nila, then, ginabuligan. And, gaano silang mga programs, like muna. So, may ara da sa babaw the UNCTAD or UNCTAD or the what we call the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. It has been actively involved in the debate on issues concerning development countries in the global economy. One notable example is their continuous research and policy advocacy on trade and development, aiming to address trade imbalances and promote sustainable development for developing nations. Additionally, they provide a platform for dialogue and knowledge sharing among member countries to discuss strategies for inclusive growth, technology transfer, and investment for sustainable development.